Today I decided to make my own version of Pandora's box on the Dream SMP. So today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to build my own inescapable prison, and why it works the way it does. Obviously, first we need a way to trap our victim. We can't have him escaping by dying. Now, when you sleep in a bed, there are 10 spots where you can respawn. Where we want the player to respawn is in a particular corner, because in a corner we can wall off the bed so it can't be broken, and then we can control what happens to the player here. Now, we could set up a string observer setup in which when you respawn, the floor opens up below you. The problem with this is when the player respawns, if they're quick enough, they can break the string, and then they can break out. So instead, I'm going to attach a clock to a trapdoor, and when the player respawns, it won't be long before they fall. The problem with this is if the player respawns while the trapdoor is down, the player will just respawn back at spawn. In this new setup, we have 2 trapdoors, so at any given moment, there's always at least 1 trapdoor that's facing up. And this is just the same clock as normal, I've just stretched it out to make it symmetrical. One other important thing, we don't want the player to be able to stand on the trapdoor like this, so we're going to place a redstone block on trapdoors right here, and this way there's no way that the player can stand on this. Now, it is possible that the player can get into a weird glitched state into this little space here, so just to be extra thorough, we're going to want to have trapdoors on these sides powered as well. This way there's absolutely no way, as soon as we block this up, that the player can escape. Now to build the actual prison. You're going to want to build 8 blocks down from the trapdoor setup we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Build this out of alternating blocks. These are 2 of the most durable blocks in the game that can be moved by pistons. Now, the way you're going to have this built with alternating blocks, there's going to be a corner missing on 2 opposite sides. So only this corner is filled in and this corner. Now we're going to get a few normal pistons and line them up with these corners. All 8 blocks. And not just on the corners we filled in, but on these gap corners as well. That is completely wrong. Okay, make sure not to make my mistake. On the gap corners, they should be 1 block out here. Now your design is going to look kind of like this. On each one of these piston segments, place a top slab on each set of 2 pistons with a repeater on top. On the next layer, we're going to want a zigzag of slabs with redstone on top of each one, so that we can connect all the pistons into one point. Once again, in between every 2 set of pistons, a top slab with a repeater on each one of these top slabs, then zigzag slabs on the way up, like so, and redstone on every one of these slabs to connect them all. To avoid quasi-connectivity with the pistons, so it doesn't mess with our design here, I've moved the redstone clock just a little bit. It's just gotten a little bit bigger. If you want to see where it is relative to the trapdoors, it's at the same level. The repeater is 1 block down, so it powers the block. Now this is one of the trickiest parts. We want to connect up all 4 of these sets of pistons into a clock. Well, 2 clocks. Well, 1. Don't be too worried about copying the exact design. What will be important is how much repeater delay you have in each one of these clocks. Now, we want this corner to power at the same time as this corner, and we want this corner to power at the same time as this corner. The reason for this is once we start this up, this entire thing is going to be moving in circles. That way no one is able to break these blocks. The reason we want them alternating is because if a block updates, say endstone updates itself back to endstone on the same tick, the damage will remain the same. This is why we need the type of block to change. I can't stress enough that the shape and size of these clocks don't matter at all. Again, it really is just about the repeater delay. I honestly have very ugly clocks, and I'm sure you could probably do better. So let's assume we're powering whatever redstone wire we have on the purple wall. It's going to power this at the same time as this. Now, if you notice, this clock isn't entirely symmetrical. We've got 3 repeaters, then this one powers, then 5, and then this one would go back to 3. The reason I'm not putting all 5 here, and instead putting 2 over here to make up for that, is because on this one we don't have enough space here. You could just make this a little wider, and then just have a 5, and then 5, 5. It'd be totally normal. Remember, 2 repeaters, which technically add up to those ones to make 5. Now, We're going to connect these up with very, very sophisticated redstone. Press a button to begin the clock. If your clock is working, it should look somewhat like this. There's a little bit of lag, which is actually good for demonstration purposes because we want this prison to work even in laggy or low TPS situations. I guess those are kind of the same thing. Now obviously we don't want people falling through the floor, so we can't just have a regular floor either. That means the floor must also be made out of repeating blocks. Just for visual sake, I will remove these for a little bit so you can see. This is the center of our room. We've got a layer here, a second, a third, and a fourth. This way it can be pushed back and forth. If you notice, if we tried to connect redstone to these, it would get in the way of these clocks we already have. So let's get a new color, green for the floor, because you know green is symbolic of floor. We're gonna have 2 lines of redstone torches under the pistons. One which will power it and one which will cancel out that power. Yet again, we need another clock down here. You know, while I'm doing this, I realized that the color of green wool is honestly just, it's ugly. Like, just up front, it's just unattractive. Okay, we'll have another button power this. This floor now slides back and forth. Now, say I'm naive and an idiot and I decide to right-click this very suspicious bed surrounded by obsidian. I spawn in here, and there are a few cheeky ways to glitch out of this, though. I'm not a master at them, but it is possible to glitch out with these pistons. So there's one more step to make this prison completely perfect. That's right. Even if someone finds some cheeky way to slip through a piston as it moves, they're not going to find a way out. They're just going to get themselves suffocated in a block. Before we finish up, just make sure that when you set up your little base here, your little troll base, don't keep safe blocks right here, because, you know, then the player's just going to respawn there. Preferably maybe put some slabs up or something so that they don't count as solid blocks. Let's hide this. No evidence. And, yeah. No escape. You respawn up here. There's nothing I can do to get myself out of that situation. There's no way I can break any of these blocks. You don't even need to give the player mining fatigue. They can work all they want and the block is just going to change. There's no way they can reach the obsidian, so they can't slowly peck at that. Now, don't worry about the fact that we've got 3 redstone clocks going on at the same time. That's totally fine. I'm playing on a freaking Eterno server, and the TPS is at straight 20s. We're good. So, thank you for watching. Subscribe for more sound torture. Goodbye.